To draw a site in Revit, we need to begin by drawing a topo surface. Now, we can draw that surface underneath floor plans and then opening up our site plan view. When we're in the site plan view, we can move over here to Massing and Site on the ribbon. And from there, there's an option called Topo Surface that we can select. When we do, we have one real option, and it's called Place Point. What this means is that we will move around the screen, and don't click just yet, but wherever your cursor is at, you'll see a black square following it around. This is a point, and when it comes time to click, wherever that point is located at, you'll have a new elevation listed for that point. What this means is that we'll eventually have several dozen points here on the screen, each one of them creating different kinds of contour conditions, thus making our Revit site. Before we click the first time, this bar going across the top is called the Options bar. And on it, there's an option for elevation. And right now it's set at 0 feet, 0 inches, absolute elevation. So move down here and then pick so that we have at 0 feet, 0 inches, there's a dot. Change this elevation now to say -1 feet. With it being -1, let's click a second dot. What this means is that this is at 0 feet, 0 inches off of the level, and this is -1 foot, in this case off of the level, or actually off of 0 feet, 0 inches. If we did the same thing over here, we can see that now that we have 3 points, it's starting to triangulate. So we now have an actual site object with contours associated with it. We can't see the contours yet until we start to place some more of these different elevations in. Instead of -1 foot, I'm going to do another one which is -6 feet. And now click again. And now here's the contour lines in between each of these elevation points. Change the elevation information to whatever you feel is appropriate, and then clicking points to begin generating your site. Now feel free to type in really any sort of number that you want. Just don't make the number be so gigantic that you have a mini mountain right here in the middle of your site, or else that could take a little while to clean itself up. One of these is going to be at the 2-foot elevation, and that's going to be on the far outside edge of the site over here. I'm going to do another one at that same 2-foot elevation over on the upper right-hand side of the site. Then I'm going to do a couple of negative numbers. Both of these are going to be -1 foot down for the 2 lower corners that'll be making up my site. If you start drawing these in and you begin to get some oddities, and it's very possible that you have already if you just start clicking a lot, you'll start to see that you'll have lines just sort of coming out here and dying for no apparent reason out in the space. Well, to clean these up, one of the things that you can do is select on the Modify tool and then pick on some of those individual points. If you do, and then hit the Delete key on the keyboard, you'll be able to begin to get rid of some of the extra points that maybe you don't need. Once you have all your points in place, click the big green check mark to finish off that part of the site. Then you can see what you've done by going to your default 3D view, which is clicking on the little house up at the top of the screen. I'm going to turn on some color myself by coming down to the Visual Styles button, turning on Shaded. And now I'm going to click on Front here on the View Cube so we can see it straight on. And now we can start to see some of the contours that are making up this topographical object, also known as a topo surface.